Blessings, beautiful beings. Thank you so much for joining me today. For practice today, we have a nice little flow for just compassion. I injured my shoulder this weekend, so this video is late because I was waiting to give it some time to heal before I did anything too physical with it. So just having compassion for ourselves and for others, and meeting everybody, and especially yourself, just where you're at. Um, any so for props, if you have blocks, go ahead and grab them. A strap, or you could use a belt or a rope or just anything long that you might want to use later. A bolster, if that feels good to you, a blanket, anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. Instead of seated, I'm going to switch it up. We're going to start in constructive rest pose. So what that is you'll come down to your mat. Your feet can be about hip distance apart, knees bent, feet on the floor, and then you can just relax. We're going to start by taking just some deep breaths and getting ourselves grounded and centered. If you're coming from running around or doing something else, this will help to get you in the mind frame for practice. And with your hands, you can lay them flat on the ground, you can lay them up, you can bring your pinky side to the floor. You could also even place one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. And we'll start by taking just a few deep breaths. It feels safe to you. You can even close down the eyes or soften the gaze. Take a nice big inhale. And exhale. And you can sigh it out of your mouth if you'd like, or just through your nose. Really breathe into your belly. Hi, Fritz. Maybe pet your puppy who's coming over to say hi. Let go of anything that's happened today so far, this week. Just really give yourself some appreciation that you are taking this time out for yourself today. And you can continue to keep on deep breathing as long as you don't have a dog on your neck. There we go. As you're taking these big deep breaths, really feel anything that you've been holding on to, just let it go. Let it flow into the floor and just away from you and off of you. Just exhale anything that you've been beating yourself up about, or that you've been just going over and over about in your head, driving yourself crazy about. And just really take the time to focus and center on you, and just being grateful for all of the things that you do and that your body is able to do and accomplish. And that doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean that you have to be 100% perfect. We're all human. Things don't always go according to plan. But being able to be compassionate with yourself and knowing that you did the best that you could in that situation, and that you we're all just doing the best that we can. We're all growing and learning. We'll take one more big inhale. Hold at the top for just a couple of seconds. And then take a big exhale, sighing out your mouth. When you're ready, let's go ahead and roll over to your favorite side. You can even come into a fetal position. Take just a couple of breaths. And when you're ready, go ahead and push yourself up. And then we're going to come into a tabletop position. So if you've been watching these videos or practicing with me, you know I really like to start out with some cat-cows to warm up the body. So in tabletop, your hands will be beneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. Spine is neutral. On an inhale, go ahead and lift your head, lift your tail, low, bring your ribs low, coming into a cow. And on an exhale, tuck the head, tuck the tail, round through your spine. We're going to come into a cat pose. Inhale, lift the head, lift the tail, lower the ribs, cow pose. Exhale, tuck the head, tuck the tail, round through the spine, cat pose. Do a couple of more on your own inhales and exhales. Really listening to your body. If one position feels really good to you, feel free to stay there for a couple of breaths. Inhale, take one last exhale in cat. And then after that, go ahead and return to your tabletop position. So from here, we're going to step our hands just one step forward. Tuck your toes. On an inhale, look forward, lift the knees off the ground, and just hover for a moment. And on an exhale, straighten the legs, lift the tail up and back. We're going to come into a downward facing dog. From here, you can walk your dog if it feels good to you. And really press into your middle finger, your pointer finger, and your thumb on your hands. When you're ready, go ahead and bring that to stillness. We'll take a couple breaths here. And it's okay if your heels don't reach the mat. Mine don't. Don't be more focused on the sensation than on the achieving a certain shape. On your next inhale, go ahead and look forward. We're going to make our way forward to the top of the mat so you can take little baby steps if it feels right to you. But just come to where it feels good to you. And we're going to go into a forward fold. And fix my shirt there so I don't give everyone a show. And you can bring, your feet don't have to be together. They can be wide. If your my hamstrings are really tight, so I'm going to widen my feet and I'm going to leave a little bend in my legs because I really want to feel the stretch in my hamstring and not so much my back. I don't want to collapse through my back. This is also where you can use blocks to bring the floor up to you. kind of help stabilize it. And if your hamstrings aren't tight and you're able to get your legs straighter, just make sure that you're not locking out through the knees. You want to have a little bit of bend and you don't want to damage your knees. We're just coming into a forward fold. On an inhale, come up halfway, bring your hands to your shins, look forward. Exhale, go ahead and release and come back into that forward fold. We'll breathe here for just a moment. You can shake your head, letting go of anything that isn't serving you, just let it go. And on your next inhale, go ahead and roll all the way up and come into a mountain pose. So you can roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Again, make sure you're not locking out through your knees. Keep a slight bend in it. Bring your hands at your side. And just really feel yourself grounding into the floor. Feel the connection your feet are making with the ground. And breathe. You can even close your eyes if it makes it easier for you to visualize. I like to practice a lot of times with my eyes closed. When you're ready, go ahead and bring your palms up to the sky. Touch at the top. Reach. And on an exhale, go ahead and float back down into that forward fold. So you can hinge at your hips and then bring your hands back down. We'll inhale one more time and come halfway up. And on an exhale, let it all go. And feel that stretch in your hamstrings. Your next inhale, look forward. And I'm going to actually move my blocks. If you would like to keep your blocks, feel free to do so. I'm going to put my hands on the floor and just bend my knees a little bit more so I can reach it a little bit easier. And on your next inhale, we'll kind of look forward. And on an exhale, go ahead and step one of your feet back. We're going to come into a low lunge. So go ahead and lower your knee to the floor, untuck the toe, and then just look forward in that low lunge. Again, if you're using blocks, you can have your blocks here to bring the floor up to you. Otherwise, you can come up to fingertips or palms. Just make sure that you're keeping your chest nice and lifted. You should feel a nice stretch in that quad. And then your knee that's in front that's bent, make sure it's at a 90-degree angle and that your knee is pushing to the outside of your mat. And just breathe. Right. From here, go ahead and start to shift your hips back. Peel the toes of your front foot up and back, and come to sit back, and you should feel a nice hamstring stretch. Keep your fingertips on the mat, and depending on your range of motion, you may not come all the way back. Just go where it feels good to you in your body. So again, you should feel a nice stretch in your hamstring. Remember to keep on breathing. After your next exhale, go ahead and roll back forward. Place your hands on the mat and then take whichever foot is in the front and bring it back, and we're going to come back to that tabletop position that we were in before. From here, whichever foot that you had with. So for me, it was my left foot. I'm going to extend my left foot out, toes on the floor. And you can rock back and forth. That'll give you a little bit of a calf stretch. And then once you're ready, go ahead and come into stillness and lift that foot off the floor. Keep your toes dialed down towards your mat. We'll just take a couple breaths here. If you feel stable in your body, you can extend through your opposite arm. So I have my left leg out and my right arm out. Make sure your thumb is pointing up towards the ceiling. And then just look down at the floor, keeping your neck in line with your spine. And remember to breathe. If you feel a little shake or a little tremble, that's great. That's the good stuff. You can always bring your hand back down. And then you can also always bring your toe back on the floor and just stay there too. Again, do what feels right in your body. Woo. Once you're ready, go ahead and lower your hand, lower your foot, step your hands, one handprint above where they were. Make sure to press into those 3 fingers, so thumb, pointer, and middle. We're going to tuck our toes on an oh, I'm getting a little sucked out here. On an inhale, go ahead and lift the knees. And on an exhale, lift the hips up, back, and down. Back into our downward facing dog. And breathe. On your next inhale, look forward, and we're going to make our way to the top of the mat. So you can hop, jump, step, float, whatever is in your practice. Just come back up to the front of your mat. On an inhale, come up halfway. On an exhale, go ahead and lower back down into your forward fold. And again, you can use your blocks if it feels right to you. A little bit of a bend in your knee too. I was starting to straighten out a little bit too much. When you're ready, go ahead and make sure your hands are placed on the floor firmly on your blocks. And we're going to step the opposite leg back. So I'm going to step my right leg back and then lower my knee to the floor and untuck my toes. Got a little cramp in my foot there. All right. I'm going to keep my toes tucked because my foot is cramping right now. Make sure that your front knee, again, is in line with your ankle. Your foot is not coming over, and that knee is pressing to the outside. So you should be able to see your big toe. Again, you can use your blocks to bring the floor up to you. You can come onto your fingertips, or if it's in your practice, you can just bring your hands to the floor. Just make sure you're not rounding and collapsing through your back. Keep your chest nice and upright. And again, you should feel a nice stretch through your quad of the leg that's back. We'll take a couple breaths here. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and shift your hips back. Peel the toes of that front foot back and up towards your face. And you should feel, again, a nice stretch in that hamstring. Continue to just look forward. Keep your chest lifted. Remember to keep breathing. ready, go ahead and roll through that front foot. Place your hands on the mat, and then we're going to shift that front foot back, and we're going to come back into our tabletop position. All right, from here, the leg that was extended before, so again, it was my right leg, I'm going to extend that out with my toes on the floor, and again, you can rock back and forth, just stretching out that calf muscle. Make sure to keep breathing. Fritz says hi to everyone. Right, when you're ready, go ahead and bring that to stillness. If you're ready for a little bit more, lift that leg off the ground, keeping the toes dialed down towards the floor. And we'll breathe here. If you want a little bit more, go ahead and stretch that opposite arm out. So for me, it's my left arm, keeping your thumb pointed up towards the ceiling. Make sure your head is in line with your spine, and breathe. And again, if at any point this is it doesn't feel right in your body, go ahead and drop down a level until it does. When you're ready, go ahead and lower your arm, lower your leg, and walk your hands just one palm print above. Tuck the toes under. On an inhale, lift the knees, and on an exhale, send the hips up, back, and down to a downward facing dog. We'll take just a couple of breaths here. We're getting ready to get off of our hands and our wrists here. If at any time you need a break, go ahead and come down into a child's pose. On your next inhale, look forward. We're going to make our way back up to the top of the mat. And on an inhale, come halfway up. And on an exhale, fold back down into our forward fold. Take just a few breaths here. And make sure you're not locking out through the knees. On your next exhale, go ahead and roll up. Roll as slowly as you can. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. And we're going to come back into our mountain pose. Now you can close your eyes and just feel all the energy rushing down into the ground. And you can also feel that energy coming up from the ground, replenishing and restoring you. All right, if you have not done so already, let's go ahead and come to the long edge of your mat. Go ahead and grab your blocks so you have them nearby you if needed. And then we're going to take our feet wide on the mat. I'm going to fix my pants here. All right, you can bring your hands to your hips if you'd like, and make sure that you're really feeling stable in your feet. If you're wondering how wide to put your feet, a good rule of thumb is, which if you want them longer, you can or your feet apart. I heard one time from a teacher that you lift your arms out and you put your feet to where your wrist is, which my arms are crazy long, so I'd have to be like this, and that's not comfortable for me. So go where it feels comfortable to you, but just make sure that your stance is wider than just hips distance apart. So go ahead and just widen the feet. They do not have to be as wide as the mat. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, go ahead and start to slide the hands down the outsides of your legs while hinging forward. Pause when you're halfway. We'll take an inhale here. And then exhale, go ahead and let it go. Come all the way back down. If your hands do not meet the floor, then grab a couple of blocks and bring the floor up to you. And it can be on whatever setting you'd like, or if you have books or anything else. Otherwise, if you can get your hands to the floor, you can bring them to the inside of the feet. You can start to work your way back, and you can eventually work to bring your head to the floor. But don't push it if it's not your practice. Just go to where it feels comfortable to you. I cannot get my head to the floor, so I'm going to stick right here and just breathe and release my neck. You can shake your head yes, you can shake your head no. Just make sure to really release and breathe. Make sure you're not locking out through your feet or your knees either. Make sure you have a little bit of a bend in it, just a slight bend. I'm looking back at my wall and I see how dirty it is behind me from the dogs. They've all wiped their face on it, so yeah, I'm going to have to clean this. Right on your next inhale, go ahead and look forward, and we're going to make our way back up. So slowly roll back up. And then just stay here for a moment. Again, feel that energy rushing down through your body. Should feel really good. All right, so I am going to turn my right toes towards the front edge of my mat. And I'm going to kind of step my left feet out. I'm going to come into a warrior two. So I'm going to bend through my front knee. And again, when you're doing this, make sure you're not on a tightrope. Make sure that your legs or your feet are kind of on parallel train tracks. So you want to be able to see both of your feet. And again, make sure your knee is pointed over your pinky toe so you can see your big toe. So adjust your stance however you'd like. On an inhale, so we'll start here with our hands on our hips. Your next exhale, you can bring your arms out to either side. Make sure that you are not leaning forward or backwards one way or the other. Make sure to stay really straight in your center line of energy. And then think about maybe you're trying to hold a pencil with your shoulder blades back there, or anything else that you could possibly hold with your shoulder blades. So bring your pinkies back and breathe. You can look over that front hand. On an inhale, go ahead and drop whichever hand is in the back. Turn the front palm to face the ceiling, and then bring it up towards the midline. And on an exhale, you can cross that midline and just look up at your palm. Your next inhale, go ahead and return to your warrior two pose. So we'll straighten back through the arms again. Make sure you're pushing your pinkies back. And on an exhale, just go ahead and let it all go. Straighten through that front leg and turn it back towards the long edge of your mat. Right now we're going to repeat that whole thing on the other side. So with my left foot, I'm going to point my toes towards the short end of the mat. I'm going to readjust my stance. So my right foot is going to be pointed towards the corner of my mat there. I'm going to make sure my front knee is bent. And I'm going to open up my hips to this long edge of the mat. And inhale, lift the arms up. If this does not feel good in your shoulders or in your arms, you can leave your hands on your hips too. Look over that front arm. So my left hand I'm looking over and breathe. Really feel that strength. Just tap into your own inner strength. Next inhale, flip your front hand's palm up towards the ceiling. Lower that back arm, lift your hand up towards the ceiling, and on an exhale, come across that midline, looking up at your palm. So humble warrior. Keep breathing. Your next exhale, go ahead and return your arms back to the side or back to your waist. Come into that warrior two. And on your next exhale, let it go. Lower the arms, you can shake them out, and we're going to return our feet to that wide-legged stance that we were in before. So go ahead and, for now, bring your hands to your hips. And really feel the outer edges of your feet pushing into the ground. If it feels good to you when you're ready, you can extend your arms out to the side. And really stretch and take up space. I did not know how this would feel on my shoulder, so this shoulder is having some issues. So I was going to play it by ear. Really just take up space. So this is called a star pose. Now I've said it before in other videos, but sometimes when we're beating ourselves up, or if a lot of times we don't want to make other people uncomfortable. We don't step up to lead because we don't want to make other people uncomfortable. We don't want to show our star. We don't want to put ourselves out there or offend somebody or piss somebody off. So then we try to adjust ourselves to make ourselves more likable or more this or that or whatever the case may be. And we really just need to be who we are. So if you're a star, be a star. Expand out. Don't curl up into a little ball, and really let yourself shine. And have compassion for yourself if you have, in the past, maybe made yourself small or tried to make yourself seem small. Because I'm sure you probably still weren't small. Not enough for those people who wanted you to be. Alright, when you're ready, go ahead and lower your arms down. We can heel toe our feet in, coming back into our mountain pose. And just really feel the effects of everything washing over you. We can go ahead and come up to the top of our mat. Just to be ready for the next little piece, we're going to transition to the floor. So we have this really technical yoga move for you. So I'll wait for Fritz to move. He takes my blocks. So when you're ready, go ahead and start to bend through the knees like you're coming into a chair pose. Lift the heels off the ground. Keep lowering, and come into this little crouched position. And if you're ready, walk your hands behind your back, and then you can sit your bum to the floor. Nice little transition there. All right, if you would like, you could use blocks, you could use a blanket, you could not use a dog. Well, you maybe could. But we're going to come into a cobbler's pose. So if you want to bring your hips up a little bit, it's a hug. Okay. See, yes. Okay. Okay. Let's go. No, sit down. So you can take your blanket, hide from your dog. You can put it on the ground, and you can bring your hips up a bit. He is 5 months old and just into everything. Okay. All right, so once you're ready, you can bring your feet together, knees out. This is also if your knees don't come as far to the ground, you can take a couple of blocks, you can put them under your knees, and that'll help. He stands on me to bring the ground up to you, or you can use blankets or just whatever you have. And if your knees are up like this, that's fine. They don't have to come to the ground. Just take a couple of breaths here. You can massage the insides of your feet if you'd like. Give yourself a little self-massage just by pulling back through your arches. Just trying to search for the words. I blank there. I'm going to move my blocks because I'm actually done using my blocks for today. And if you're ready, go ahead and bring your hands to either side of your knees and just kind of fold up through your knees, and we're going to extend our legs out. I'm actually going to shift off of my blanket, and this is where, if you would like, you can grab a strap. I should have mine is already looped. I'm going to unloop it here. If you don't have a strap, you can use a belt or anything like that. And we're going to come to lie on our backs. And if you don't have a strap or you don't want to use a strap, that's okay. So go ahead and bring your feet to the ground first. And when you're ready, you're going to take your strap if you're using one, and let's bring our right leg in, and you can lasso your foot and then extend it up. Make sure that you're not holding, if you have metal pieces, that the metal pieces aren't touching any of your skin. And you can just extend through your leg. Make sure to keep a slight bend in your knee. And again, you can hold wherever feels right to you. You may not need a strap. You can always just grab onto your leg, or if you can reach your toes, you can use your peace fingers and grab onto your toes too. Kind of like the straps because it allows me to keep my my shoulders on the floor. Take a couple breaths here. And if you'd like, you can extend your other leg out flat along the floor. And you should feel a little bit of a different stretch there. ready, go ahead and return your left foot or if you extended your foot out along the ground, go ahead and return that. So your knee is pointing up towards the ceiling and your foot is flat on the ground. And then you can remove the strap from your right foot or whichever foot is extended up and then go ahead and lower that down to your mat. Take a couple breaths here and just compare the two sides. See what you notice, see what you feel in your body. So my right leg feels more lengthened and just more stretched out and more loose. I should say not more loose, looser. I have some grammar Nazis on me. Right, when you're ready, go ahead and draw your left knee into your chest. Lasso that left foot and then extend it up towards the ceiling. And make sure that there's a slight bend in your knee. And you don't have to have a death grip on your strap either. You don't have to just really muscle it down. Just go to where it feels right to you. And breathe. Like, you can go ahead and extend that other leg out along the floor. That's my right leg I'm extending, and you'll feel a little bit of a different stretch in your hamstrings back there on your foot that's extended up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, go ahead and return that extended leg along the floor back into more of that constructive rest pose that we were before. You can release the strap from the leg that's extended up towards the ceiling and return that down to the mat. I am done with my strap, so I'm going to toss it aside, hope no one takes it. And then just compare again the two sides. All right, one last thing before we go to our final resting pose is bring your knees up and then go ahead and bring your knees into your chest and come into a little ball. So hug yourself in, tighten everything up, tighten all your muscles up, flex through your feet, make fists if you're able to, scrunch your face, bring everything in into a tiny, tiny little ball. And then on an exhale, let everything go. Slide your feet along the length of your mat. You can bring your feet as wide as the mat. You can bring your hands up towards the ceiling or down towards the floor, or you can bring your pinky side towards the floor. Take an inhale, and then just sigh out, letting everything go. And when you're ready, you can soften the eyes or you can even close them down. And just make sure to focus on your breath, not at the dog biting your thumb. So as you focus on your breath, just really feel the benefits of the practice, just marinating through your body. As always, I'll keep watch on the clock. So while you're laying there resting, the card I pulled today for today's practice was Stag Spirit. Take the lead. And it actually, I pulled it, it was upside down, so it's in the protection position, which means that there is a different message for us. So the message today is that others may not be as far along as you are on your journey. When Stag Spirit appears in the protection position, you are called to be compassionate and patient as you find yourself leading the way. When others struggle to follow you, they may be unsure that you can be trusted, challenging you to be kind and strong, challenging your value and questioning your worth. Know that Spirit has put you in this place at this time for a purpose and will not abandon you when you need help with your new responsibilities. Or perhaps you're actually uncomfortable leading, maybe temporarily trapped by your small self and are therefore promoting yourself too strongly, afraid that others might see weakness or imperfection in you. Let go of your fears and let Stag Spirit remind you that you have what it takes to lead wisely and ethically if you practice self-honesty and listen to others who wish to support you. Alright, so if you have time and you want to, you are more than welcome to stay in Shavasana for however long that you're able to. That's great. If you are ready to go ahead and start to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle fingers and toes. And when you're ready, roll to your favorite side. And just stay there for a moment in fetal position. Take a couple of breaths there. And when you're ready, go ahead and come up to a seat. Just slowly push yourself up to a seat and then bring your head and neck up last. Thank you so much for joining me today for this practice and for understanding with little Fritz and his puppy funness. I appreciate you taking your time and your energy to practice with me today or just whenever before I upload this. So everyone have a great week. Remember to stay compassionate towards yourself especially. And I will see you guys later. Namaste.